The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and welcome to the webinar. I'm the moderator for today's webinar. I'm Abby Henry, the Oncology Content Manager for PearlPoint Cancer Support. So first, let me introduce you to our speakers. First, we'll hear from Felice Apolinsky. Felice is many things: a wife, a mother to 4 young adults, a licensed clinical social worker, and the program director of Gildas Club Nashville, and a thyroid cancer survivor. She's worked at Gildas Club Nashville since it opened its signature red door in August 1998. Her 18-year tenure at Gildas Club has established her as an expert in providing evidence-based psychosocial support for families impacted by cancer. And then today we'll also hear from Margaret Martin. Margaret is PearlPoint's Nutrition Educator and Registered Dietitian. Margaret is a licensed dietitian and nutritionist in the state of Tennessee, as well as a certified diabetes educator. Margaret graduated from the University of Alabama with a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics and received her master's degree in Nutrition Science and Public Health from the University of Tennessee, and she has more than 10 years of experience in clinical nutrition. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, you can submit them in the panel on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be answering questions after the presentation. You can also connect with us on Twitter with the handle @MyPearlPoint, or you can use the hashtag PPCSwebinar. And after the webinar, just make sure to complete the survey so that you can help us improve our webinars and better serve you. Here you can get a quick look at our agenda for today, and we'd also like to take a moment to thank the Memorial Foundation for helping make today's webinar possible. Okay, just a quick disclaimer: PearlPoint Cancer Support is not a treatment facility. We're a nonprofit organization that provides education resources for cancer survivors. The webinar does not provide medical care, so always talk to your healthcare team before changing your diet or if you have any side effects from treatment. Okay, so who is PearlPoint Cancer Support? We're a nonprofit organization with a mission to create a more confident cancer journey for adults anytime, anywhere. We've been serving survivors, co-survivors, and healthcare professionals for over 26 years. We provide education and resources through MyPearlPoint, a website dedicated to educating cancer survivors. Our main focuses are cancer education, clinical trials, nutrition, and survivorship. You can visit MyPearlPoint after the webinar to create a free dashboard and receive personalized resources such as the Cancer Handbook, which we currently have available for multiple cancer types. You can also learn more about side effect management by watching the Eat to Fight video series on the home page. If you just click on Nutrition and Cancer, it'll take you to the section where you can find those videos. Okay, so who is Gildas Club Nashville? Gildas Club Nashville is a free cancer support community for men, women, teens, and children with all types of cancer, and family members and friends. They provide support groups, healthy lifestyle workshops, educational classes, and community resources, and are always free of charge. It's a place to feel supported, understood, and informed through education, friendship, and the richness of community. Gildas Club Nashville is an affiliate of CancerSupportCommunity.org, and their mission is to ensure all people impacted by cancer are empowered by knowledge, strengthened by action, and sustained by community. Whether you or someone you love is newly diagnosed, in the midst of treatment, managing a recurrence, grieving a loss, finished with treatment, or even a multi-year survivor, any time is the right time to become involved at Gildas Club. So now I'm going to hand things over to our first speaker.
So, good morning, everybody. My name is Felice Apolinsky, and I'm the Program Director at Gildas Club, like Abby said, here in Nashville. And I'm really going to talk about stress and stress management. So, who hasn't heard the words, reduce your stress, and that reducing your stress needs to be a high priority on your to-do list in life in general, but certainly when cancer has impacted your world. My presentation this morning is really speaking to, I hope, not only the person with the diagnosis, but everyone who loves that person. So this is as much for caregivers, friends, and family of people living with cancer as it is for the actual person diagnosed with cancer. All of this information and the strategies for managing stress are really good for anybody in any circumstance. So what is stress exactly? Stress is a normal physical response to events that make you feel threatened or upset your balance in some way. When you sense danger, whether it's real or imagined, the body's defenses kick into high gear in a rapid automatic process known as the fight or flight reaction, or also known as the stress response. And the stress response is really the body's way of protecting you. When it's working properly, it helps people stay focused and energetic and alert. For example, in emergency situations, stress can save your life, giving you extra strength to defend yourself, for example, or stress is what causes you to slam on brakes to avoid an accident. So in some ways, stress can be healthy, but beyond a certain point, stress stops being helpful, and it can start causing major damage to your health, your mood, your productivity, your relationships, and your quality of life. So what happens when you're stressed? The body's stress response. A lot of things happen when you're stressed, and as you know, living in your body, your heart pounds faster. The next slide, thank you. Your muscles tighten, your blood pressure rises, your breath quickens, your senses become sharper. So these physical changes can increase your strength and stamina, your speed, your focus, but at the same time, there are also other kinds of responses, digestive responses, immune system, things stop working, the repair or growth of body tissue can slow. So your nervous system, once the danger has passed, tends to calm the body and slows the heart rate. But in the midst of that crisis, in the midst of that increased stress, your blood pressure rises, your heart rate rises, and it can become very difficult to think logically and rationally when you feel threatened and your body feels threatened in that way. So there's a difference between stress and distress, and it's important that we in some ways think of stress as the good stress, and distress is when things feel out of control. Stress is inevitable, but distress is not. So should I stress about reducing my stress? And the answer is kind of. There are certainly tips and tools and techniques that I hope you walk away with this morning to help you begin to reduce some of the distress and hopefully help you feel a little bit more centered and empowered and in control, because that's the goal. There's internal stress, which is kind of daily life pressures that everybody experiences. And then the external stress or distress is really kind of what I'm talking about. It's all the extra challenging, negative, damaging kinds of consequences. So there are stress warning signs and symptoms in all 4 areas. So when you're distressed, there are cognitive symptoms, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, and behavioral symptoms, and I'll just run through a couple of those. When you're distressed cognitively, there can be memory problems, concentration difficulties, poor judgment, feeling only the negative aspects of the world, anxious or racing thoughts, and constant worrying. There are other emotional symptoms of distress, moodiness, irritability or short-temperedness, agitation, inability to relax, that feeling of being completely overwhelmed, which tends to lead to a sense of isolation and loneliness, and sometimes this general kind of unhappiness or depression. There are also physical symptoms of distress, aches and pains, intestinal upset, diarrhea, constipation, nausea, dizziness, There's that chest pain and rapid heartbeat that I spoke of. There can be a loss of sex drive. And then there's also behavioral symptoms of distress where you're eating more or less, you're sleeping too much or too little, you're isolating, withdrawing yourself from the people in your world that you would typically feel supported by, procrastination or neglecting responsibilities where you feel basically frozen and unable to kind of go about your managing of daily tasks. Sometimes people move towards alcohol, cigarettes, or other substances, and there's an increase in nervous habits. So there's all these consequences that can happen from distress, and so that's why it's important to learn some techniques to really begin to manage that, so that you can, with stress management, you can hopefully improve your quality of life, you can improve your energy, improve your sleep, improve your digestion, and improve your ability to make good decisions about your life, your medical care, with increased focus and productivity. So, how do I do that? How do I begin to manage that stress? So first of all, you got to figure out what it is you're stressed about, which when you're living with cancer, that's not a very long list typically. It's your health, it's your life, it's the person you love's health and their life, it's all the extra things outside of that, it's relationships, it can be work issues, financial issues, so make a list of all the things that are distressing you. Then make a list of how you typically respond when you're feeling distressed. Then learn some new coping skills and begin to think about how you might react differently, developing that plan about when I feel stressed about X, I'm going to try some deep breathing, or I'm going to talk to a therapist, or I'm going to call a friend. Develop your plan, and we'll discuss that a little bit more deeply. And then try it and modify your plan as necessary. This is not a one-size-fits-all. You're going to find tips and tools and techniques that work best for you, and even those might change and need to be modified over time. So what works for me may not work for you, and it's important to be flexible enough to modify that stress management plan as you need to. Excuse me. So what are the various ways of managing stress? Exercise, we all hear that it's really important to exercise, and exercise doesn't mean running a marathon. Exercise means walking back and forth to the mailbox or standing when you're brushing your teeth, if that's something that you're not able to do right now, depending upon what your health level is. So movement of any kind can be really helpful and important in managing stress, whether you're a member of a gym and working with a personal trainer, or you're sitting on your couch and you're lifting canned goods or bottles of water just to get your body moving, build a little stamina, build a little energy, and feel in control of your body to some degree. There's also a theory that dedicating some time to stress can be really helpful. So if you find that stress is pervasive in your day, if you can give yourself 10 minutes a day of worry time where all you do is allow yourself to ruminate for those 10 minutes about all the things that are stressing you out. Write them down if you want to. Write them down on individual pieces of paper and stick them physically in a little box and put the box up on a shelf. And then the next day, take that box out and do it again. There are a lot of people that find that dedicating a period of time to allow yourself to stress actually frees up much of the rest of the day where your mind isn't ruminating about that anymore. You've kind of given it its due, and now you're moving forward. So that goes along with taking breaks and having distractions. Finding those things that feel good to you, whether it's a movie, a good book, an interesting podcast, you know, any kinds of a cartoon, playing with animals, playing with babies, whatever tends to distract you and just give you some break out of your brain is a great stress management technique, making sure you have some of that in your day. For some people, being in nature is very helpful, and if you're not physically able to be in nature, and at least here in Nashville, Tennessee, it's 127,000 degrees right now, so being in nature sounds awful to me at the moment, but I might pull up some nature photos on a computer or on a television, or watch a nature CD or something that allows me to feel some cool breezes that I wouldn't get if I was walking out the door. So there are some, you know, you can modify what being in nature is actually like. For some people, spirituality is an incredible, helpful stress management tool. Prayer, meditation, whatever form your spirituality takes, if that's helpful to you, spending some time in that place, reading your, you know, liturgical text, whatever that is, can be helpful. Finding laughter and humor, something to laugh about, some silly DVD or movie, old Carol Burnett reruns, slapstick comedy, whatever that happens to be that makes you giggle for a minute. Humor can be incredibly helpful, and it's considered internal exercise, because when you've got a good belly laugh going on, your body is moving. And so it's a 2-for-1 deal. You can laugh and exercise and have fun just by having a really good laugh. For some people, doing yoga is helpful, or Tai Chi or Qigong. There are a host, and if all of that sounds like foreign language to you, Google it. There is so much now on the internet, whether it's YouTube videos or DVDs or podcasts, or a class in your local community. I know here at Gildas Club we offer Tai Chi and Qigong and yoga, and all of our mind-body classes, just like everything else we do, is free. We have a Laugh Out Loud workshop every week to do that, exactly that, to just find some humor in things and play with our pain a little bit. So any of those yoga or other mind-body techniques can be really helpful as a stress management tool. Guided imagery and relaxation. Mindful meditation is the buzz at the moment. And what that means is there is a tool that you can use, and it's a practice. And most of these are a practice. You've got to actually do them and practice them for them to become second nature and useful to you. So mindful meditation is a technique where it brings you back to the awareness of the moment. I don't know about you, but for me, when I am distressed, my brain goes about 40 miles forward, and I am going down the road, and I'm thinking about really difficult things, and I kind of swirl myself into an anxious hole and think about all the what ifs. I'm not ever thinking about rainbows and sunshine. I'm thinking about really scary things. And mindfulness is about pulling you back and learning to be aware of the moment and take stock of where you are right now, so that you don't get caught up in that web of anxious thinking. You can just kind of center and breathe. So other tips, tools, and stress management techniques. Expressive arts. whether you are doing things with your hands, whether it's origami or it's fiber art or it's painting. There are a lot of expressive arts that you can do, and there is no talent required. It's not judgment. It's just another way of expressing. Journaling is another good way for some people, whether it's by hand or dictated. Now a lot of people just do verbal journals in their smartphones. There's little apps that come with all the smartphones, I think, that are recording apps, or you can actually go purchase an old-timey tape recorder that now costs about $10 at any electronic store, where you push the record button and you just journal your thoughts. And oftentimes getting your distressors out of your head is incredibly relieving, and it can really help manage that stress by taking it, you get it out of your thoughts and onto paper or onto some kind of recording, and then you've emptied out some brain space to fill up in other ways aside from stress. For some people, hypnosis is helpful. For others, biofeedback. Cognitive behavior therapy can be incredibly a helpful tool, and you can find local cognitive behavior therapists in town, or just counseling, psychotherapy. Sometimes unpacking your mental baggage with someone who is completely objective and out of your friendship circle, where you can take everything out and tease through it and get rid of the junk and hold on to the important things and learn some additional tools for managing your challenges, can be incredibly beneficial. There's an additional tool called progressive muscle relaxation. Now you need to make sure that if you try this one, that you get your healthcare provider's permission and that you don't have any kind of back spasms or other issues in your body that would make it damaging to tense and release on purpose. Progressive muscle relaxation is an old-timey tool that we used to use years ago with people, where you visualize, basically, you close your eyes and you tense your toes and you hold it for 10 seconds and then you release them, and then you tense your feet and then you tense your ankles and you move all the way up from the bottom to the top with every muscle group tensing and holding and then relaxing. And you end by tensing your entire body and relaxing. And what that does is it helps you, that relaxation part can be a very deep relaxation. But again, before you try that one, I want to make sure that it's a healthy, safe one for you to do. Deep breathing is a part of most of the stress management techniques that I just discussed. You would be surprised probably to realize how shallow your breath can be when you are distressed. People talk about even gasping for air. When stress hits and your body is racing and your pulse is racing and your blood pressure is skyrocketing, your breathing is more shallow. And oftentimes tuning in and really learning to do some belly breathing, even just a few minutes of that a day, can be an incredibly helpful tool, and it's accessible all the time, and it's completely free of charge. So we're going to practice that in a minute. So other techniques, listen to music. Some people like to just play heavy metal really loud or classical really quick, really soft. That for some people, dancing around the room or just kind of getting out of their head by listening to the music is helpful. Talking to friends, positive self-talk, kind of talking yourself out of that anxiousness, can also be helpful. And then one that I have seen be incredibly helpful to numerous people is finding a support group. Being with other people who are impacted by cancer whether with the diagnosis or in a friends and family capacity. Being with other people who completely understand because they are living in similar circumstances helps break through the isolation, helps you feel connected, helps you share wisdom, and can really help relieve some stress and distress that comes with the impact of cancer. So finding a really good support group is something worth taking a look for. And if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, Gildas Club is always free, and we have support groups for everyone impacted by all kinds of cancer. And so it's worth taking a look. So aside from all of those, you know, do a little Google search. Look up stress management techniques, stress management videos, stress management websites. There are just gazillions of them right now. There's little apps that will put you through mindful meditation for a few minutes, and most of those things are completely free, assuming you have computer capacity or cell phone capacity. So remember to practice and practice and practice. It's a process, it's a practice, it's not something that's quick and easy. It's not the way we're typically wired. So be realistic that, you know, it might not always work. Be realistic that you're going to have to try out a few things to find something that really does work for you. When you do, set aside just a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, to practice every single day. I would avoid practicing while you're sleepy, and I would suggest that you forgive yourself if your brain won't allow you to relax at the moment, and just decide that you'll try it again a few minutes later. So different techniques work for different people. You're just going to have to play around with it a little bit to find what works for you. So let's practice one little technique together, which is going to be interesting to do on a webinar since there is no images at all, and I can't see you people. So I'm just going to trust that you're going to do this with me. So get in a comfortable position. Put one hand on your belly. Oh, this can be hard to do when you're holding a telephone. But if you're not holding a telephone, put one hand on your belly and the other hand on your chest. Breathe in through your nose. When you're breathing in, your hand on your belly should actually rise. And the other hand, the hand on your chest, shouldn't move very much. Exhale through your mouth. Your hand on your belly should move. The hand on your chest should not move very much. So this is about focusing on belly breathing, very deep breathing. Again, breathe in through your nose and try and do it in a way that the hand on your belly rises. And then exhale through your mouth and do it in a way that your hand on your belly moves. So if you practice that a few minutes every single day, you might find that that's an easy technique for you to relax and manage some of your stress. If you find that sitting is difficult for you to do the belly breathing, then lie down and put a little book on your belly. And that way, visually, you can watch your belly rise, you can watch the book rise and the book fall. And sometimes that's a more comfortable way for people to practice. So give that a try. So when is distress to a point where you need to reach out and seek some additional help? That's really important to figure that out and to hopefully not wait till a crisis or an urgent point to do so. So you know yourself best, and the people who love you know you well. And so you might want to ask them if they feel like you're in a position where it might be beneficial to reach out for some additional support. But my guess is you know best when to do that. So what are some markers for that? If you feel like you're unable to cope, if you're having obsessive preoccupation or pervasive fears, if you have significant changes in your sleeping or your eating or your spending habits. A lot of people don't talk about that, but for some people, shopping and online shopping can be a indicator indicator that distress is out of control. If you've had a marked decline in your school performance or your work performance or your general life performance, if you find that you are engaging in some self-destructive or dangerous behavior, if you're self-mutilating, or if you're misusing substances, then those are all indications that it is time to reach for some additional help. If you are in an emergency situation, you call 911, you go to your nearest emergency room, or you call your 24/7 crisis hotline. So in the Middle Tennessee area, that crisis hotline number is 615-244-7444. You can also talk to, and you should talk to, your healthcare professional. There is no shame in discussing these issues with your healthcare professional. They should actually be asking you about your level of stress and distress. And if they're not, feel free to bring it up. Cancer has an enormous emotional impact on everyone. And so physicians and other healthcare professionals are getting much better about talking about that and addressing it. And oftentimes, people really do benefit from some short-term medication to help manage some of those signs and symptoms. And so be willing to talk to your physician about that or to your other medical professionals. Besides these integrative approaches that I've discussed, there's also some people find great response to things like acupuncture or acupressure, and you would want to pass all of that by your physician. And then there's always counseling. So in a lot of oncology practices, there is emotional supportive psychotherapy and counseling because cancer has such an impact on people's emotions. So feel free to ask about that. There's no shame in it at all. So I think at this point I'm going to hand the mic over to Margaret to discuss the nutrition piece of stress and distress. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Felice, for your excellent presentation on stress and relaxation. Now, let's take a look at nutrition and its role in stress and stress management. This funny cartoon is showing a lady with many demands on her life while she's attempting to hold it all together by multitasking. Such can be the case of a person with cancer or maybe a caregiver of a person with cancer. Stress is defined many ways. Here, Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines it as a state of mental tension and worry caused by problems in your life, work, etc. And I think studying cancer, we all can agree with that. So let's look at nutrition's role and how we can better cope with stress with nutrition and meal planning. Now, before we look at some healthy steps, I think it helps to know what your definition of health is. From my perspective, health is a balance of all your life areas, your social, physical, emotional, spiritual. And health is also enjoyment of activities that you like. Many groups and organizations have defined what health is. You probably heard the definition of health from the World Health Organization. They define health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. That definition has not been changed by the World Health Organization since 1948. A newer definition by Huber and colleagues defines health as the ability of individuals or communities to adapt and self-manage when facing physical, mental, or social challenges. So health is a combination of areas of our lives. Now let's look at stress and nutrition. Next slide. As Felice has pointed out, stress and stressful times in our lives can change your eating habits. The top 4 food changes due to stress that I hear from clients with nutrition are first, forgetting to eat. That can be a real problem if you're struggling to maintain good health and weight during cancer and cancer treatment. The second change can be, instead of planning your meals, you tend to grab food on the go more often. Sometimes we think of this as fast food or food that might have maybe more fat, sodium, and calories than we need. The third habit is sometimes people seek comfort food and drinks rather than dealing with the stressful trigger that Felicia talked about. And finally, often folks I speak with may overeat to distract them from the problems at hand. The cancer itself can be a problem, or struggling with finances, or all the multiple problems. The good news is you can eat healthily even when you're under stress. You can break the stressful eating habit. So let's look at that. Next slide. I feel there are 4 steps you can take to change from stress eating to healthy eating. And you can plug in at any one of these steps you might need. The first is planning ahead, planning your food and grocery list or what you're going to eat ahead of time. Secondly, eat with purpose, and we'll talk more about what that means. It can mean mindful eating or eating with imagery to help you improve your appetite. Third, dine with other people, like friends, neighbors, and family. And fourth, swap unhealthy foods for healthy choices more often. So let's focus on planning ahead first. Next slide. Plan ahead to de-stress with nutrition. Some people aren't familiar with how to plan a meal, or maybe due to stress they haven't been able to focus on planning a favorite meal or menu. So here are some tips to get started. Pick a favorite meal or menu that you really enjoy. You might think of one that you have around the holidays or one that your family shares or friends sometimes. Then make a grocery list from that menu. And I do recommend keeping your menus and grocery list because you might share them with people that can help you along the way. When you make a grocery list, you can make it easy by the layout of the grocery store you plan to shop in and get your cold and frozen foods last. If you're not used to planning menus, there are some websites that have weekly meal plans for you. We have some on our website, Micropoint, and also the U.S. Department of Agriculture has meal plans or weekly menus at myplate.gov, as well as the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Make these meals you're going to prepare easy. That may take minimal preparation, chopping, preparation of ingredients. Some people try to find a recipe or meal that has less than 7 or 8 ingredients. If you feel you're not up to cooking, often with cancer it's difficult to stand for long periods of time to chop or slice foods or get food in and out of the oven. Ask friends or family members to help. Many people want to help, but they're not sure how to help. So giving them your grocery list or asking them to help you chop the vegetables or slice fruits is a great way for them to help. Next slide. Another way to plan ahead is to plan to have a small snack or a mini meal every 3 to 4 hours. Why would you want to do that? Well, regular food can help you sustain your vitality and energy. Eating on a regular schedule, it doesn't have to be a large item, maybe 1 or 2 foods, can help give you a more healthy blood sugar, and that can help you have more energy and also support good cognitive or thinking functions. Small frequent meals can also help you digest your food much better than 2 large meals during the day. You might find that you feel better after a smaller meal, feel more energetic, less bloated, and less sleepy after a small meal. So think about planning a meal every 3 or 4 hours or a small snack. If you're having trouble remembering, use your kitchen timer, your cell phone alarm, or some type of visual reminder to help you remember to eat. Make sure you're drinking healthy beverages often. If you have trouble with this, go ahead and have beverages ready to drink in your refrigerator. Of course, water is thought to be a very important beverage, but other low-sugar beverages are helpful. Teas, juices, decaf coffee are often favorites. To add pizzazz to your beverages to make them more interesting to you, put a slice of fruit or a slice of a vegetable like cucumbers, or maybe a sprig of dill or mint into your beverage. Beverage powder sticks are very popular now. You can stir them into a glass of ice water. Green tea is also great to use. To make your beverages more interesting, serve them in a chilled glass or cup if it's a cool beverage. How much should you drink? Well, that depends on you and your health. More often than not, we don't recommend the old tried and true suggestion of 8 ounce glasses a day. You might want to check with your healthcare team to see how much fluid you might really need a day. If you're having trouble keeping your weight on, it might be helpful to drink between meals and just have small sips of liquids with a meal so you can eat more of the high-calorie, high-nutrition foods. And lastly, plan ahead. Make snacks at night or your lunch the night before when you have less demands on your time. You can make multiple snacks or multiple lunches or part of a lunch to save time and energy, and save your energy for eating the next morning. Next slide. Another tip to help you eat healthily while managing stress is to eat with a purpose. What do we mean by that, eat with a purpose? Well, think about healthy messages while you're preparing to eat or eating. Sometimes during cancer and cancer treatment, food changes, food taste changes, and aroma changes really are a barrier to eating. So think of food as good medicine and how it will invigorate your body, as well as it's fun to eat. Repeat some positive phrases to yourself while you're eating. A few are listed here, like I feel beautiful, and I am healthy, or I have a lot of energy. Other people like to think of food as strength, strength for their appointments, or food as healing, or food is giving me strength to make it to all my doctor appointments. So think of good things about eating. Also, this can be part of mindful eating. Felicia talked a little bit before about mindfulness, but mindful eating is enjoying what you're eating while you're eating it, and perhaps some of your reactions to it. You know, concentrate on the flavor of a bite or the texture of your food, its appearance on the plate or in the cup, and the aroma. Slow down your eating and really enjoy the process of eating. That's what some people think of as mindful eating versus mindless eating is when we eat on the run, maybe we eat a meal in 10 or 15 minutes and we really didn't taste anything after the first bite. Mindless eating can be harmful for some people because you may not really realize how much you're eating or how little you're eating of healthy things. So mindful eating or eating with a purpose is recommended. Secondly, deal with your negative feelings themselves. Don't try to cover them up with food. If you find yourself in a stressful eating or binge pattern, slow down and try to identify the stress that's driving you to overeat or maybe overconsume alcoholic beverage. Try to label the feelings, whether it be loneliness, fear, lack of control, and make a plan to deal with those feelings like Felicia pointed out earlier. And lastly, and very important, go for balance in your eating, not perfection. During cancer and cancer treatment, I know there's a lot of expectations and perspectives people assume or put on themselves. Sometimes there's misinformation that's shared or read on the internet, but nutrition is really about being healthy and taking care of yourself. Good nutrition is the sum of nutrition consumed and nutrients over a time period, like a week. So if one day you miss some vegetables or you forgot to eat your fruit at breakfast, you can add them later in the day or later in the week. There's really no right way to eat or one way to eat. You yourself are valuable and unique, and you have specific nutrition needs. So don't make unrealistic expectations that you need gourmet meals all the time. Just make your meal relaxed and wholesome, and don't worry that your meal may not be like you used to cook or eat before cancer. Next slide. Now let's look at the next step is dine with others, dine with friends, families, and neighbors. Keep the social aspect of eating when you can during the week. Why might you ask? Well, food often tastes better with loving friends and family members around sharing the meal. You can think of that in contrast with eating alone. When we eat alone, that can be more of a downtime, which can bring down your food intake. So make mealtime fun. Make it social. Invite folks to eat with you or meet people for a snack or a cup of coffee. Dining with others can help increase your appetite and also improve your mood and outlook about life. It has been said that good conversation is good medicine. So social eating can lead to a better appetite and a better outlook. If you need help with food preparation, grocery shopping, cooking, be sure to put that out there to your friends and family members. You've probably heard of supper clubs. You might want to start a supper club for yourself and your circle of friends, or maybe a good friend would do it for you. A supper club might meet monthly, or it could be every other week, where you might have a certain meal, and then the leftovers are sent home with you for future meals. You've heard of cookie swaps at Christmas. Why not have a snack swap where your friends or coworkers bring snacks with recipes that are shared, and then you go home with a doggy bag of healthy snacks. If resources and fatigues are problems with your healthy eating, ask for donations of meals, snacks, and groceries from people you know. There are actually websites that can help you or a friend coordinate meal donations, like two frequent ones that I've seen. One is called Meal Train. The other is called Caring Meals. They're a free website that folks can help you coordinate meal donations. If people want to provide meals for you through a website, of course a lot of restaurants deliver food, or there are websites where people can actually purchase meals for you, like one website is called Take Them a Meal or Meals to Heal. Meals to Heal focuses on folks with cancer. So let people know what you need to get through a stressful time. There are many people probably that want to help. Last step will be swap for healthy choices. Next slide. Healthy foods sometimes escape our memory or our consciousness when we're stressed, but you can swap whole foods or more healthier foods like fruits, veggies, grains instead of quick or fast foods that might be easy to eat but may not carry much nutrition. Examples of those less healthy foods might be donuts, candy, sodas. Not that you can't have those, but if those become dominant in your food habits, they push out healthier foods like whole foods. If you feel nervous or feel like you're over-caffeinated, swap for decaffeinated beverages. Try decaf tea, decaffeinated sodas and beverages, especially in the afternoon and evening. Caffeine in the evening often disturbs or prevents adequate healthy sleep, so it's best to start any decaffeination maybe in the afternoon and evening. Some foods actually carry caffeine, like chocolate and some over-the-counter medicines, so try to swap out some lower caffeine items for those as well. And lastly, to think about swapping, downsize some of those rich foods. What is a rich food? Well, rich food might be thought of as a food that carries a lot of fat or calories. Sometimes we get very sleepy after having a meal that's abundant in some of these high-calorie or high-fat foods. If you get sleepy or bloated or feel poorly after eating one of those meals, you may not be able to accomplish everything you need for that day, and that can lead to additional stress. Two examples are on the screen. Thinking about French fries. 20 to 30 years ago, a serving of French fries was less than 2.5 ounces and about 210 calories. Nowadays, if you go out and order an order of French fries, they're almost 7 ounces, or 3 times that in calories, around 610 calories. So what is served as a portion at a restaurant might not really be what's a healthy choice for you. So if you dine out, try to share some of those rich foods with other people. You know, share an order of French fries or share a fried appetizer with 2 or 3 people. Sodas are another example. I can remember growing up when cold drinks or sodas came in very small bottles, like 6.5 ounces, which were often less than 90 calories. Now, if you walk around or go to the mall, you'll see people walking around with 20 or 32-ounce containers of soda. A 20-ounce container of soda can be 250 calories. That's a lot of calories for some people, and that can push out your appetite or your intake of healthier foods like protein, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. So try to downsize your eating of some of the rich foods. You'll feel better after eating, you'll have more energy, and your digestion often will be more efficient. Next slide. I often get questions about, well, what is a healthy way of eating, or what are some more healthy foods I need to include in my menus? Well, there are many places to get information on what are some healthy food choices during cancer or for caregivers. On our website, Micropoint.org, we have some great evidence-based information on healthy food choices. Often, it's suggested to use a Healthy Heart menu or the New American Plate nutrition information. The New American Plate way of eating was developed by the American Institute for Cancer Research, or AICR.org, and they're suggesting at meals that we have 2/3 or more of our plate filled with vegetables, fruits, beans, and whole grains, and only have 1/3 or less of our plate with animal proteins, fish, which might be thought of as fish, poultry, meat, and low-fat dairy. This is a big switch from, say, 10 or 20 years ago when often we wanted half of our plate to be meat and a fourth vegetables and maybe a fourth starches. So rate your plate and try to ease it over to the new American style. Next slide. So in summary, I would like to challenge you to be in charge of your food, especially during stress. Don't let food be in charge of you. You can make healthy food choices. Think of three steps just to summarize. Think of your food as healthy medicine and nutrients to help you give strength and immunity. Cope with stress by making healthy food choices more often. Have healthy food on hand, or be in charge with where you go out to eat, or what coffee shop you may meet friends at where they might have some healthier choices. And be sure to share your needs with others. If you have trouble grocery shopping, trouble with food budgeting or cooking, ask your friends and coworkers to help you. Give them something concrete to do. Hand them a grocery list or a recipe that you'd really like them to make and bring to you. It takes a village to get through cancer and stress, so don't be afraid to ask for help. Thank you very much for your attention today and for being with us. I'll now turn it back over to Abby, and she'll take some questions. Thank you, Abby and Felicia.
Okay, thank you both of our speakers. Here you can see some additional resources that go along well with today's presentation: Micropoint.org, CancerSupportCommunity.org, Gildas Club Nashville.org, and then as well as Cancer.net, which is ASCO, Cancer.gov, which is part of the National Institute of Health, and Cancer.org, which is American Cancer Society. AACR, they do a lot with nutrition and health, a lot of healthy recipes, as well as eatright.org and todaysdietitian.com. Our next ProPoint webinar will be Tuesday, August 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And just as a reminder, for even more help with side effect management, you can download our free mobile app to your smartphone or tablet. The Cancer Side Effects Helper app is available on iTunes and Google Play, and the app offers quick tips to help you manage side effects such as nausea, fatigue, change in taste and smell, all at your fingertips. Okay, so now it looks like I've got a couple of questions. First question is actually for Felice. How can I sign up for Gildas Club classes and support groups?
So it's very easy to do. The way everybody gets started is by coming to what we call a new member meeting orientation. We offer those twice a week, every week. There's typically a daytime choice and an evening choice. And you sign up for the one that suits your schedule best. It's for not only for people with the diagnosis, but anyone who loves you. That new member orientation is not a child-friendly meeting. We have lots here to support children, but that new member meeting orientation is information heavy, and kids would never want to come back. So we ask you not to bring children to that orientation. We want them to walk in the door and do something fun from the beginning. But that orientation is really, you'll walk away with our history, philosophy, mission, program, what we do, what we don't do, what the rules are, so you know everything there is to know about all the different ways you can involve yourself here. And those new member meetings, like I said, are offered 2 choices every week, typically a daytime choice and an evening choice, and you just let us know which one suits your schedule best and sign up and come. Everything we do is free of charge. We just ask you to come to that orientation, and then we'll sit one-on-one with you to help figure out how you want to involve yourself here. If it's workshops and classes, if it's support groups, if it's a combination. It also will allow us in that one-on-one meeting to help identify anything that you need that we don't offer that we can help you find. So we're a great resource connector. We've been doing this work for anywhere from 14 to 18 years, our little staff, and know all about resources in and outside of the community. So So it's really that simple. Sign up for a new member meeting. You can access our calendar at gildasclubnashville.org, or you can call us and ask us to put one in the actual snail mail to you or email it to you so that you can see when those new member meetings are and sign up for the one that's convenient for you.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we had another question asking if where they could access the presentation or at least the web addresses. Actually, we've been recording today's presentation, so this will be up on mypropoint.org soon. I can also send the slides out to everyone who attended today. And then I'll actually go ahead and go back to those website addresses for the rest of the presentations if you want to get some of those written down. Okay, and then one final question. This one is for Margaret. I've heard that I should avoid all sugar during cancer treatment because sugar can feed cancer, but I love desserts. How much do I need to avoid sugar during cancer treatment?
Well, that is a frequent question I hear in talking with folks with cancer and their caregivers. Sugar doesn't have to be avoided during cancer treatment unless you have a medical condition that requires you to control your sugar intake, such as insulin resistance, diabetes, some of those types of medical condition. That being said, sugar doesn't carry a lot of nutrients. It does carry calories. Excessive sugar intake from refined sources like desserts, candies, and regular sodas can take the place of healthier foods like fruits, vegetables, milk, and whole grains. So my suggestion to people is to balance their sugar intake with their healthier other foods. Some health organizations suggest that you limit your sugar intake, your added sugar intake, like 5 or 6 teaspoons a day for ladies, maybe up to 9 teaspoons for gentlemen. But in general, I don't recommend people spend a lot of energy and resources to avoid sugar, but just go for a healthy food balance that you enjoy. And we have a great article about that on our website at mypearlpoint.org. Thank you, Abby.
Okay, well, looks like that's all the questions we have. So thank you all again for attending today's webinar, and another big thank you to our speakers and to Gildas Club Nashville. Remember, you can visit mypearlpoint.org, cancersupportcommunity.org, or gildasclubnashville.org for more resources for your cancer journey. And join us next time. Hope you all have a great rest of the day.